Welcome to the Windows Computer and Technology channel. And the other question that came through because of the antivirus video is also about firewall. Now, firewall, of course, is an essential part of having your computer on the internet. There is a need for a firewall. That is something absolutely necessary. In fact, the internet and the way we use it today would not be possible without having a firewall. So there's a firewall at different levels in general on a connection. So say that you are using the standard security software that Microsoft has, which is a Windows security. Well, you have a firewall in Windows, and if you're connected directly to the modem of the internet service provider, well, that's your only firewall, which is fine. It works great. And it has all the settings that you could do. The only flaw of a software firewall like this one, and that includes if you have a firewall in your antivirus software that you might have paid or installed, which is not Windows security, any firewall that is in software, the only danger of it is if you do get malware, the malware can now change the settings of the firewall and open ports to make communication with the outside world. For example, a keylogger. They want to snoop on what you're typing on your keyboard to find passwords, usernames. A keylogger will technically get on your PC and open a port and send data to some, hacker somewhere. So that is the biggest flaw of a firewall that is software, so firewall that is within Windows, or any firewall that you have on your antivirus that you might have that is not the Windows one. There is always a possibility if you would get bitten by malware that, it could change the settings. So that's why there's a different kind of firewall, which is always kind of the preferred firewall. It's a little more complicated to change, and sometimes some users of different types of software or gamers sometimes have a hard time with it because they have to find out how to change some of the settings. But if you're using a router, or if your modem is also a router that can connect to several devices, chances are it has its own firewall. And that one is interesting because if you get malware, the Windows firewall or any antivirus firewall can be modified. And ports can be opened to get, to snoop or just, have all your malware friends come over. But there's a barrier that is better, and it's the one within a router or a modem that has a router that is capable of having a hardware firewall, which is different. Software is what is in Windows. It's what's in antivirus software. Like I said, it can be modified. But the hardware one, although it can be modified, there's an extra layer that malware cannot go through. And it's the fact that it has to log into that device. And for a long time, for example, even if you had only one PC, I would often say, put a firewall between your modem of your internet service provider and your computer. Even if you have only one PC, because it contains a hardware firewall, and that is most often the best firewall because it is almost impossible for malware to change it. So that is a different type of firewall. So technically, the firewall in a hardware device is a better choice than the firewall in software that can be easily modified. Now, the question that was a little more is I have the firewall in my router, the firewall in my Bitdefender antivirus, and the Windows firewall all working together. Most of the time, when you've got multiple firewalls, it still will work fine because the rules are pretty much similar on all of them. So there isn't any interference. But keep in mind that having too many layers like that can cause issues of anything that wants to connect to the web. So what do you do? Do you turn off one? Usually, I pretty much recommend not to play with any of the firewalls. If it works fine, just leave it alone. But if you do have connectivity issues of all sorts, then it means you might have one too many firewalls or protections trying to, take control. That could become a problem. But if you got no issues, just leave it alone. And for the most part, you'll not really have any problems, and it should work fine. So just leave it as it is, and things are going to be okay. Firewalls also, and that's one thing that I want to mention because I have too many of these messages from time to time from people that see the firewall videos that I've posted and so on. And they tell me, I can prove to you that Windows Firewall doesn't work because I've got Zone Alarm or I got this firewall. And it tells me it's blocking things all the time. Well, that's pretty much fake news in a way. It's not fake news in the sense that, it probably blocks something. It's fake news to think that it blocks something that Windows Firewall didn't block. The Windows Firewall would have blocked the same thing. It's just that it's not annoying you with a pop-up to say, I blocked this, I blocked that, I blocked that, I blocked that. Actually, any software that does that shouldn't even be installed on a PC because it's a way of trying to make you think it's working better than the others. And in fact, if that would be such a problem, if these pop-ups would not be blocked by the Windows Firewall, then that means that anybody that uses a standard Windows PC on just a modem would get constantly infected by all sorts of malware, which never happens unless you did something wrong, like I always say. So it tells you that stop thinking that a pop-up of I blocked this means it's working. It's actually, first of all, much more annoying and distracting. And second of all, it ain't blocking something that any other firewall can't block. That's all. If you enjoy my videos, please subscribe, give us thumbs up. Thank you for watching.